back from the dead.
Hey guys, Frozen Nexus here, and today I'm going to be talking about the Buzzsaw versus the Auger, a very difficult question to answer, which one is better. So, to start off, let's just start looking at the differences of them. First of all, before I even look at the stats of them, I just want to show you guys something. If I can get this to line up the way I want it to, there we go. As you can see, they are about the same in length. The Auger is the tiniest bit more long than the Buzzsaw is, so these two weapons being the same length work great in conjunction. The reason I point that out is because I see a lot of people doing something like this, where they have hatchets on either side thinking, oh, you know, that'll just add more melee damage. But if you look at it, the hatchet's actually a tiny bit longer than the Buzzsaw, which this isn't a big deal. Normally the Buzzsaw will make contact, but in very rare cases, especially if you're not going directly straight on, maybe you're hitting them from the side, this hatchet here will actually stop your Buzzsaw from making contact. So I found that putting a hatchet next to your melee weapons is not the greatest option. If you're using just hatchets and plows, that's fine, but I would not put a powered weapon right next to an unpowered one, because you will potentially risk doing less damage than you know. That's not really the point. So let's, if I can get the stick on the right spot. Alright, now let's see what their differences are. You can see the Auger has a power score of 259, while the Buzzsaw has a power score of 280. But you will notice if you look at the damage, the Auger does a slight bit less damage, which is kind of weird. I mean, for something that has a pretty significant amount of power score loss, but it has a lot more structure than the Buzzsaw, you would think it would have relatively the same power score. You know, the structure and the damage should counteract one another, but it does not. So if you then, what I just said there, if you look at the Buzzsaw, 68 structure, and the Auger has 1 point minus double of the Buzzsaw. So realistically, the Auger will be twice as hard to knock off as the Buzzsaw. However, again, it does do a slight bit less amount of damage, but this is made up by the fact that it is a full 21 power score lower, so that means it'll help you get into lower games and will help you out quite a bit. Energy drain is both 1, but if you look at it, the Auger is actually a full double the mass of it. So it weighs twice as much as the Buzzsaw, but it has double the structure, about double the structure. It's 1 point less than double. So yeah, I would definitely say the Auger statistically is better, but let's just go ahead and test that out in theory and see what happens. In my previous testing, I found that the Buzzsaw does less damage on initial contact and more damage after contact than the Auger, but you'll see what I mean. Let's see what the initial contact here is. 103, alright, and then when let me make contact with the cabin, it does 38 damage per tick on the cabin. So yeah, as you can see, if I hit other parts like a tire there, it will do more damage. Let me try and show you that. But on the hull, which is what we're going for, it will do 38 damage per tick. So if we go ahead and switch back over to the Auger, if we can go ahead and find that, if I'm not an idiot, here we are. I am an idiot though, so sorry about that. Okay, we're going to try and hit it from pretty much the exact same angle. We'll be going relatively the same speed. This is quite a low vehicle, or heavy vehicle with a low top speed. That's why I chose this, because it will pretty much only reach a certain point of speed, 189, but once you start hitting the cabin, it only does 30, opposed to 38. So the initial damage is a lot more, which to me, that is worth it more than the overthought, or like the afterthought of the damage per tick, which is actually not a very reprehensible amount of damage change. It's not a lot. You're not making a huge difference in the 8 damage per tick. So personally, I find the Auger works better, because obviously it's twice as hard to knock off. It has double the structure, and it is, well, it's double the weight, but it has lower the power score. So to me, Auger is definitely more worth it. If you even go into factions, I'm just going to double check this before I say it. I'm pretty sure the Auger costs less to make as well, 50 and 180. I could be wrong about that, but we'll find out on camera. No, I am wrong about that. It costs the exact same to make 50 and 180, like of copper and scrap respectively. So there you have it. The Auger is better. To me, I think it's better. I mean, I'm sure you can make an argument for the Buzzsaw being better for attacking cabins, but to me, I'm going to be taking out mostly Augers, but I still want to point out the fact that using them in conjunction with one another is actually a great idea, because that's the last thing I want to go ahead and show you. If we could just get it stuck on there correctly, there we go. It doesn't really matter how these are stuck on. This is not an actual ramming vehicle. Again, I'm only using this because it gets to its top speed really quickly, and therefore there won't be too much of a variable in speed on these tests. So if you go ahead and see, it does a pretty good amount of damage coupled together. I did not hit that correctly. Hold on. I was trying to hit it so I would, grind against the cabin, but obviously I missed because I suck, and even in test modes I suck. Gonna try and follow my tracks to do a similar attack, and as you can see, it did a bit more damage on impact, and then I'm doing 68 damage per tick against the hull because I have the 30 from the Auger and the 38 from the Buzzsaw. So that's pretty much the way I look at it. Using both of them in conjunction is not a bad idea, but if you only have enough parts to build one or two, I would definitely build the Augers first and Buzzsaw second. So that's all I have for you this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope this helps out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.